All right, this is Srini, the host and co-founder of Blogcast FM, and I am here at Blogworld talking to Chris Brogran. How's it going, Chris?
Best I've ever been now that I'm with you.
Well, I can't blame you. Usually most people say that. I wish more women would say that, but...
Yeah, well, you got to work your way up.
If I'm as cool as you, maybe I'll get there, I got to work on that.
I'm an up-and-coming blogger.
Well, so am I. Speaking of up-and-coming bloggers, so you've been up-and-coming for almost 10 years now, right?
Yeah, I started in '98 back when they were calling it journaling, and a lot of my older blogs are lost to the fold because they were on GeoCities and things like that. And I guess 2004 is when my official, you could see my blog roll, but you can look in way back and find some of the old junk. I started writing with fiction and stuff like that, and crappy how do I feel about life kind of posts, and then I went into writing about fitness for a while, and then I wrote about personal productivity and all that kind of stuff, and then I really started hitting it when I wrote about how other people could use stuff, how could they use personal productivity to grow themselves, and then a little bit about media making, new media type stuff. I got really into podcasting and blogging, video blogging, and then now I write about sort of social business stuff. How do you do better business, human business is what I call it, and how do you try to get a lot more out of relationships?
So one of the things that's really interesting is how much all this technology has evolved since you've started. Can you talk a little bit about how the way you grow something is different today than it was back then?
Well, one thing I've seen from some interviews and conversations with other people is if we didn't have social networks to promote our stuff, we would have far less traffic than we ever did. Blogging, when it was the thing, everyone came to each other's blogs. We all subscribed via RSS when that was invented with Dave Weiner and gang, and then we'd all kind of go to each other's blogs, and it was like a potluck. You'd make me something to eat, I'd come over and make something to eat. So with all these social networks, that's not how that goes. And if you didn't have the networks to promote, you wouldn't have the traffic. And so I think that there's a big to-do about that, because if they drop dead, then suddenly our traffic all drops dead. And I would say that the other thing is that comments are now being left all over the place. I mean, as a sponsor, Livefire is doing a lot to help aggregate comments, but also help socialize them. But, people will tweet a response. Hey, I liked your blog post. Hey, great interview with Chris Brogran. And you'll never get value for that if it's not on your own blog. Google Plus, all those places. So now that's a trick, too, is that your comments are scattered to the winds.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me ask you one other thing, and then I want to ask you quickly about Google+. So in a world where you've got so much noise, people like yourselves, people like Sonia, you guys have really established your brands. And what about these people, the up-and-coming bloggers who really are trying to get their name out there? What's the key to standing out in a world like this when people have the attention span of, a gnat, basically?
First off, if you're trying to be another TechCrunch, stop. You have to be you. You have to be what you think you can do. Second off, really work with the other up-and-coming bloggers. The big mistake up-and-coming bloggers do is they measure themselves against TechCrunch or somebody, and 2.4 million daily views. I'm not there. I'm never going to get there. I get 200,000 uniques a month, and to me that's little compared to them. But somebody else like 200,000 uniques. My God, don't do that. Just write good stuff. Now that's one piece of advice. Compare against the right person. Two is help other people. The minute my blog took off was the more helpful I was. I write, now you can do this too. Here's a thought, and how would you think about this for your business? I do that every single post. If I write me, that's weird, only my mom comments. So I would say that the biggest thing I see bloggers do wrong is they write that, they write, about themselves, or they write an opinion. Opinions are awesome. Opinions are just like ice cubes in a cold drink. They go away and whatever. There's no value to an opinion unless you do something with it. So experiment, do something, take the opinion further, write a how-to that goes with the opinion. I don't like your Livefire comment system. Here's how I would make it better. Is way better than I don't like Livefire, it's stupid, I'm going to do something else. So to me, sponsors, I think that you get a lot more if you educate and equip than you do if you emote.
Interesting. I think it's really interesting that you brought up the idea of connect with other up and coming bloggers, and having been in the position I've interviewed tons of bloggers, especially people like yourselves, like I said, people like Mike Stelzner, and I always say the people who made our show are not the people we've interviewed, it's the people who listen to our show. And those are the people who we've built relationships with. And that one of my favorite things to say is that emerging talent is the most undervalued asset in the blogosphere.
No question. Do you know Do you know why it is hard to get together and do this interview? Is because I put as much love as I can into the people that support me and that have brought me up. So as I walk down the hallway and I can't move more than a few steps with meeting someone who's liked my blog and commented on it, or this post, everyone has a "this post spoke to them" moment with me, and I'm ridiculously humble about that, because I always feel like no one's reading it. You know, we all feel that, like on bad comment days for some of us. But I mean, people are like, oh, you get 50 comments. Well, if 200,000 uniques are there, if 67,000 daily RSS subscribers, and I get 50 comments, that's way less than 1%. So I'm still feeling like I'm pooping into the wind here. I think that the best thing to do is if you really love your community and turn them from an audience into a community and promote them and talk about them, that's way bigger than, as Mike Stelzner says, than talking about the fancy fofo person.
So one last question for you. I mean, you talked with Guy yesterday about Google Plus, and I know that it seems like there's this huge contingent that's just like, whatever, Google Plus is nonsense. It's funny because I was a lot more convinced after your session today. What are the implications for people who are using Google Plus as bloggers?
Well, in fall 2006, I said Twitter was the bee's knees, and everyone said, whatever, it's stupid. And a long time later, everyone's like, oh, that's really weird. Chris Brogran makes all this money off of Twitter. I don't get that. Well, they're welcome to disagree with me again. I've proven it once. Google Plus is the social network run by Google, the #1 search engine in the world. Anything you post to the public of Google Plus gets indexed quickly into Google search engine. If the #1 search engine in the world and now has a social network that they're using to determine social signals to get traffic to your blog, why would you be hanging out on Facebook all day, which is not indexed by Google in any capacity, in any great capacity? Google Plus is flexible. It's tied into a lot of other services. It's really hooked to YouTube and things like that. My #1 traffic referrer right now is Google Plus. I'm followed by almost 200,000 people on Twitter. I'm followed by only 60,000 people on Google Plus at the time of this recording, and Google Plus traffic is so much higher and much more quality, better comments, better action. If I request a call to action, like I want them to buy this book I think is awesome, many more people from Google Plus come through and buy the book than if I tweet it or my automatic stream that goes to my Facebook page.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to spend some time with us here at Blogworld, and hopefully we'll be able to get you on one of our episodes at Blogcast FM.
We'll give it a show. Thanks, Srini.
All right, thanks a lot.